Hello, and welcome to History for Dreaming. When you think of gladiators, you likely imagine heroic warriors in gleaming armor, fighting for glory and honor in the grand Colosseum. You might picture brave champions choosing this life for fame and fortune. But the reality of being a Roman gladiator was a very different affair. You were not a hero. You were property. You were a slave whose body belonged to another man, whose struggle was entertainment for thousands. Most gladiators were criminals, prisoners of war, or debtors who had lost everything. They did not fight for glory. They fought because they had no choice. So why would anyone endure years of brutal training, live in chains, and face the trials of the arena, all for the slim chance of freedom? The answer was something more valuable than life itself: hope. The hope that one day, after enough toil and enough victories, you might be granted the Rudis, the wooden sword that meant your slavery was over. The hope that you might walk free. Tonight, you will become one of these men. We will leave the modern world behind and travel back nearly 2,000 years to the reign of Emperor Trajan in the early 2nd century of the Common Era. You will experience the transformation from a free man to a slave, from a slave to a gladiator. You will endure the grinding discipline of the Ludus, the gladiator school. You will learn to master the sword and shield. You will stand in the hypogeum beneath the Colosseum, waiting to rise into the blinding light and the roar of 50,000 voices. You will feel the weight of the Rudis in your hand, the heavy wooden practice sword that becomes an extension of your arm. You will taste the barley porridge that hardens your bones. You will hear the doctore's whip crack, and his voice teaching you that fear is only a distraction. You will know what it means to swear the terrible oath, to pledge yourself to be burned, to be bound, to be beaten, and to accept the fate of the sword. But before our journey begins, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. It's a simple and wonderful way to support the channel, and it means a great deal to me. I'm also always curious to know where in the world and at what time you're joining me tonight. So I'd really love to hear from you in the comments. And now, settle in. Let the noise of the modern world fade away, and let us travel back to the port city of Ostia, to the slave markets and the Ludus, where men were transformed into warriors. Your world ends on a day that begins like any other. You are 23 years old, a farmer in the countryside outside Rome. Your name is Marcus, though soon that name will be taken from you along with everything else. Your small plot of land has been in your family for 3 generations. Your father worked this soil. His father before him cleared the stones and built the low wall that marks the boundary. But the land is not truly yours. It belongs to a wealthy senator who has never seen it, who owns hundreds of such plots across Italia. You work it, you plant the wheat, you harvest it, and you give him his share. What remains is yours. In good years, it is enough. In bad years, you borrow. For 3 years now, the harvests have been poor. The debts have accumulated like stones in a sack, growing heavier with each passing season. This morning, the senator's agents arrive with 2 hired men, ex-soldiers with stern faces and heavy staves hanging from their belts. The lead agent unrolls a scroll and reads your debt aloud. The number is staggering. You know you cannot pay it. Your wife stands in the doorway of your small house, holding your infant daughter. She does not cry. She simply watches with hollow eyes as the agent delivers the sentence. You are to be sold. Your labor will satisfy the debt. Your wife and child will be turned out. The land will be given to another tenant. This is the law. This is Rome. They do not give you time to say goodbye. One of the ex-soldiers grabs your arm. You think about fighting, about striking him, about running into the fields you know so well. But the other soldier already has his hand on his staff, and you see in his eyes that he would welcome the excuse. Your wife whispers your name once. You do not look back at her as they lead you away. If you looked back, you would break. You would become useless. So you walk forward, your hands still dirty from the morning's work, your feet still bare. The journey to Ostia takes 2 days. You walk in a line with 7 other men, all debtors, all being taken to the port city to be sold. The soldiers do not chain you. Where would you run? Your entire world was that small plot of land, that low stone wall, that house. Beyond it, you have nothing. You are already a ghost. Ostia is overwhelming. The port city smells of salt water and fish and unwashed humanity. Ships from across the Mediterranean crowd the harbour. The streets are packed with merchants, sailors, soldiers, and slaves. So many slaves. You have seen slaves before, of course. Rome is built on their backs, but you have never truly seen them until now. You see them and understand. That is what you are now. The slave market is held in a large courtyard near the docks. The agents bring your group here and turn you over to a trader, a fat man with rings on his fingers and oil in his hair. He looks you over with the practiced eye of someone evaluating livestock. He pokes your arms, your chest, your legs. He looks at your teeth. He seems satisfied. You are young and strong. Farm work has made you useful. You stand with the others in a line while buyers walk past. Some buyers are looking for household servants. Some want labourers for the docks or the quarries. Some want field hands. And then there is a different type of buyer. You recognise him immediately by the way the other slaves shrink back slightly when he approaches. He is a Lanista, an owner of gladiators. He is perhaps 50 years old, lean and hard, with the weathered skin of a man who has spent his life in the sun. He wears a simple tunic, but his belt is expensive leather and his sandals are well made. He walks with the confidence of a man who commands warriors. He stops in front of you. His eyes are grey and cold. He does not speak to you. He speaks to the trader. How much for this one? The trader names a price. The Lanista counters. They haggle for a few minutes while you stand there, silent, your future being decided in measures of silver. Finally they agree. The Lanista pays. The trader nods. It is done. The Lanista turns to you. He speaks for the first time. His voice is flat, emotionless. Your name? You tell him. Marcus. He shakes his head. You have no name. Not anymore. When you walk through the gates of my Ludus, you will be given a new name if you earn one. For now, you are simply novice. You are mine. Do you understand? You nod. There is nothing else to do. He gestures to 2 men standing nearby, guards from his school. Take him to the cart with the others. You are led to a wagon where 5 other men sit, all newly purchased. None of them speak. The cart begins to move, pulled by a single ox, heading away from the docks, toward the Via Ostiensis that leads to Rome. But you do not go to Rome. After an hour, the cart turns off the main road onto a smaller track. In the distance, you see a compound surrounded by high walls. This is the Ludus. This is where you will be transformed from a man into a warrior. The gates of the Ludus are thick wood, reinforced with iron. They open as the cart approaches and close behind you with a heavy finality. You are inside now. There is no leaving except through 2 ways, the wooden sword of freedom or the end. The first thing you notice is the smell. It is distinct, layered, impossible to forget. Wood smoke from the kitchen fires. The sharp tang of cheap vinegar used to wash the sleeping quarters. Unwashed wool and leather, sweat, old and new. And underneath it all, the thick, heavy smell of the barley porridge that bubbles in enormous pots throughout the day. This smell will become the smell of your life. The compound is larger than you expected. The outer wall encloses perhaps 2 acres. Inside, there are several buildings arranged around a large courtyard. The courtyard itself is packed earth, hard as stone from years of feet pounding it. On one side of the courtyard, you see the palos, rows of thick wooden posts, each one as tall as a man and as thick as a tree trunk. These are scarred and battered from countless strikes. On the other side, there is a practice ring, a square of sand enclosed by low wooden barriers. You are taken to a long, low building near the back wall. This is the barracks. Inside, it is dim and hot. Rows of wooden bunks line both walls. There are perhaps 60 men housed here, though not all are present. A guard tells you to choose an empty bunk. You select one near the middle, not too close to the door where the cold air comes in at night, not too far back where the smell from the latrine trench is strongest. You are given a simple tunic, undyed wool, rough and scratchy. You are told to remove your clothing and put this on. You do as you are told. Your old tunic, the one your wife made for you 2 years ago from wool she spun herself, is taken away. It is another severing, another piece of your old life removed. You are given a wooden bowl and a wooden spoon. These are yours now. You will eat from this bowl, sleep with it under your bunk so it is not stolen. You are shown the well where you will draw water. You are shown the latrine trench. You are shown the kitchen where the barley porridge is made. You are told when you will eat. You are told when you will sleep. You are told that speaking is permitted, but arguments are punished. Fighting among the men is punished severely. Theft is punished. Disobedience is punished. The punishment is the whip. You spend the rest of the first day simply existing in this new world. You watch the other gladiators. Some are young like you. Some are older, with bodies covered in scars. Some have been here for years. Some arrived just months ago. They have a hierarchy you do not yet understand. They speak to each other in a mix of Latin and other languages, Greek, Gallic, Germanic tongues. Many are prisoners of war, some are criminals, a few, like you, are debtors. That evening, you eat your first meal as a gladiator. The porridge is served in your wooden bowl, ladled from the enormous pots. It is thick, grey, and utterly bland. This is Pull's barley porridge, the food of gladiators. You will eat this twice a day, every day. Sometimes there will be beans mixed in, sometimes a bit of onion or garlic, very rarely a small piece of dried fish, but mostly it is just barley, boiled until it is thick enough to stand a spoon in. You eat it. You are hungry. It fills your stomach like a stone, heavy and solid. After the meal, an older gladiator, a man with a face like weathered leather and a limp in his left leg, sits beside you on your bunk. He does not ask your name. He simply speaks. You are new, so you do not yet understand. Let me explain what you are now. You are a Retiarius, a barley man. This is what they call gladiators because of what we eat. The barley makes us strong, but it also makes us soft. It puts a layer of fat over our muscles. Do you know why? You shake your head. Because when you are cut in the arena, the wound is less severe if there is fat beneath the skin. The crowd comes to see courage, to see the contest. The Lanista wants you to survive so you can fight again. The barley is part of the design. It keeps you alive longer. He stands and walks away without saying anything else. You lie on your bunk that night, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of 60 men breathing, coughing, snoring. You think of your wife. You think of your daughter. You wonder if they are still in the house, or if they have already been turned out onto the road. You wonder if you will ever see them again. You sleep poorly. At dawn, a bell rings. Your new life begins in earnest. He is waiting for you in the courtyard the next morning. The doctore, the master of arms. He is perhaps 45 years old, though the scars on his body make him look older. He was a gladiator himself once, a successful one, who won his freedom and chose to stay in this world, teaching others what he learned. His right shoulder sits slightly lower than his left, the result of an old wound that never healed properly. He walks with a slight limp. His face is a map of violence, a nose broken multiple times, a long scar across his left cheek, the cauliflower ear of a man who has been struck in the head more times than he can count. He carries a long whip, but it is not for punishment, though it can be. It is a teaching tool. He uses it to correct your stance, to adjust the angle of your practice sword, to remind you when your shield drops too low. You stand with the other new men in a line. There are 8 of you. The doctor walks down the line slowly. looking at each man. When he reaches you, he stops. He stares into your eyes for a long moment. You do not look away. You have learned already that looking away is weakness, and weakness here means failure. Finally, he speaks. His voice is rough, like gravel. You are farmer. I can see it in your shoulders, in your hands. Farm work makes you strong, but it makes you slow. Slow men fall in the arena. We will make you fast. He moves to the center of the courtyard and addresses all of you. You are nothing. You are less than nothing. You come here with your old lives, your old names, your old pride. All of that is gone. You are slaves. You own nothing. You are nothing. But if you listen, if you work, if you survive, you can become something. You can become gladiators. He pauses, letting the word settle. A gladiator is not a warrior. A gladiator is not a soldier. A gladiator is an artist. You will learn to fight, yes, but more importantly, you will learn to perform. The arena is a theatre. The crowd is your audience. You must give them what they want. They want drama. They want courage. They want skill. They want a show. He gestures to the rows of palace posts. You will begin there. Every day, for hours, you will strike the palus with the Rudis. The Rudis is heavier than a real sword, made of dense wood, weighted to build your strength. You will strike high, low, left, right, thrust, parry. You will do this until your arms shake. Then you will do it longer. This is how you learn. Repetition, discipline, pain. The shield is your wall. The sword is your tongue. The shield protects you. The sword speaks for you. Together, they keep you alive. He snaps his fingers. Assistants bring equipment. You are handed a Rudis, a thick wooden sword. It is indeed heavier than any real sword you have ever held. You are handed a practice shield, wood covered with leather, smaller than you expected, round, with a single grip in the center. Now, he says, you learn. You spend the next 6 hours striking the palus, over and over, high slash, low slash, thrust. The doctore walks among you, correcting, adjusting, occasionally snapping his whip against someone's legs when their stance is wrong. Your arms burn, your shoulders scream. Sweat pours down your face and soaks your tunic. The Rudis feels like it weighs as much as a small child. Still, you strike. Thud, thud, thud. The rhythm becomes hypnotic. Around midday, you are given a short rest and a ladle of water. Then you return to the palace. More striking, more drilling. By late afternoon, you can barely lift the Rudis. Your hands are raw where blisters have formed and burst. Your muscles tremble with exhaustion. The doctore finally calls an end to the training. You have done well, he says to the group. Tomorrow, you do it again. And the day after that, and the day after that, until your body knows these movements without thought, until the Rudis is an extension of your arm, until you can fight in your sleep. That evening, you collapse onto your bunk. You do not have the energy to eat. Your bowl of porridge sits untouched. The same older gladiator from the night before takes it and eats it himself. Waste nothing, he says. Everything here has a purpose. You sleep like the dead, and when the bell rings at dawn, you rise and do it all again. Days bleed into weeks, weeks blur into months. Your life becomes a cycle, simple and unvarying, grinding and relentless. You wake at dawn, you drink water, you eat a bowl of barley porridge, you train. The training is always the same. Hours at the palace, striking with the Rudis until the wooden post is slick with your sweat. Then drills in the practice ring, learning footwork, learning balance, learning how to move with the shield. The doctore teaches you that gladiatorial combat is not about wild swings or desperate rushes. It is about control. It is about patience. It is about waiting for your opponent to make a mistake and then punishing that mistake with clinical precision. He teaches you the basic positions, the stance of the murmillo, the most common type of gladiator, with the large rectangular shield and the short sword. The stance of the Thraex, with the small round shield and the curved seeker blade. The stance of the Retiarius, the net fighter, who carries no shield at all but instead wields a trident and a weighted net. You will be trained as a murmillo, the doctore decides. You have the build for it, the strength in your shoulders and legs. The murmillo wears the heaviest armor, carries the largest shield, and fights in the traditional Roman style. The crowd loves the murmillo. They see in him the spirit of the legions, the disciplined power of Rome itself. The training is brutal. Every day, your body is pushed to its limits and then beyond. The doctore does not accept excuses. If you cannot lift the Rudis, he makes you lift it anyway. If your legs give out, he makes you stand. If you complain, he strikes you with the whip. Not hard enough to injure, but hard enough to remind you that pain is temporary, but failure is permanent. But there is a strange logic to the pain. The doctor explains it to you one evening after a particularly hard day of training. He sits with you in the courtyard, watching the sun set behind the high walls. Pain is a teacher, he says. Your body learns from pain. When your muscles tear, they rebuild stronger. When your hands blister, they harden into calluses. When your mind screams at you to quit, and you do not quit, your will becomes iron. This is ponos, sacred suffering. The Romans do not have a word for it, but the Greeks did. It means the purposeful, noble toil that transforms a man. You listen to him, you are too tired to respond. Your entire body aches with a deep, bone-level exhaustion. He continues, in the arena, you will face pain. You will be cut. You will be struck. If you have not learned to function through pain here, in the Ludus, you will freeze there, in the sand, and you will fall. This is why I push you, not because I am cruel, because I am preparing you to survive. The diet reinforces the training. Twice a day, you eat the barley porridge. Sometimes the Lanista orders the cooks to add ground bone ash to the porridge. The gladiators call it the hardening meal. The ash is rich in calcium, the doctor explains. It makes your bones denser, harder to break. The gladiators of the old republic did not eat this way, but we have learned. We have refined the methods. Everything you eat, everything you do, is designed to make you a better weapon. You gain weight. The lean, wiry strength of the farmer is replaced by something heavier, thicker. Your arms and chest grow. Your legs become pillars, but your stomach also softens. The fat layer develops, just as the older gladiator told you it would. You are becoming a Retiarius in truth. A barley man, built for endurance and survival rather than speed. At night, you dream of the farm. You dream of your wife's face. You dream of your daughter, though she is growing now, changing, and you wonder if you would even recognize her. You wake sometimes with tears on your face, but you do not speak of it. Weakness is not permitted. Sentiment is not permitted. You are a gladiator. You are a thing. Things do not grieve. The rhythm of the Ludus becomes the rhythm of your life. You stop counting the days. There is only the cycle: wake, train, eat, sleep. The seasons change outside the walls, but inside the courtyard, there is only the palace and the sand and the endless repetition. Your body transforms in ways you did not expect. The lean, hard muscles of farm work are buried beneath a new layer. The barley porridge does its work, building you up, making you heavier, slower, but also more durable. When you look down at your hands, you barely recognize them. The blisters have become thick calluses. The fingers are swollen from gripping the Rudis for hours each day. Your forearms are roped with muscle from the constant striking. The doctore teaches you more than just how to fight. He teaches you how to fall, how to roll with a blow to minimize damage. He teaches you how to read the sand, how to see where your opponent has stepped, where they have shifted their weight. He teaches you that combat is a conversation, a deadly dialogue where every movement is a statement, and every opening is a question that must be answered immediately. You learn the rhythm of the arena through stories the older gladiators tell. They speak of how the fights are structured, how the day begins with the venaciones, the animal hunts, where criminals are faced against lions and bears. Then come the judgments at midday. Only in the afternoon do the gladiators fight, when the crowd is warmed up, when the appetite for spectacle has been whetted but not yet satisfied. One evening, an older murmillo sits with you after training. His name is Tiberius, though he says that is not the name he was born with. He has been a gladiator for 7 years. His body is a landscape of scars, white lines, and puckered marks across his chest, his arms, his legs. He survived longer than most. The first time is the hardest, he tells you. The first time you defeat a man, it changes you. Some men vomit afterward, some cry, some laugh, though that is the worst reaction, because the ones who laugh often do not survive long. They lose their humanity, they become animals, and animals make mistakes. You ask him how he survived so long. He looks at you for a long moment. I remember that they are men, he says, my opponents. They have families. They had lives before this. I do not hate them. I cannot hate them. Hate makes you reckless. I simply do what must be done. I fight with respect. And when I strike, I make it precise. The crowd does not always like that, but it is the only way I can live with what I do. He stands and walks away. You think about his words that night. You think about the man you were, the farmer Marcus, who had never harmed anyone, who lived a simple life of work and family. That man is disappearing. You can feel him slipping away, being replaced by someone harder, colder, more dangerous. You do not know if you will recognize yourself when the transformation is complete. After 3 months, you are given your first real sword. It is an afternoon ceremony in the courtyard. The doctore calls you forward, along with 2 other novices who began training at the same time. You kneel. He presents you with the gladius, the short sword of the murmillo. It is beautiful and terrible, about 2 feet of sharp iron, perfectly balanced, with a simple wooden grip wrapped in leather. This is your life now, he says. This blade will protect you or it will betray you. Learn it. Respect it. Never drop it. Never let your opponent take it from you. In the arena, if you lose your sword, you lose everything. You take the sword. It feels strange after months of training with the heavy wooden Rudis. It feels impossibly light, like it wants to float out of your hand. You make a few experimental cuts. The blade hisses through the air, a sound like breath, like warning. The doctor nods. Good. Now you will train with steel. The training with real weapons is more intense, more focused. The doctor pairs you with experienced gladiators, men who have fought in the arena multiple times and survived. They do not go easy on you. During one sparring session, a Retiarius catches you with his weighted net. The lead weights strike your helmet with a clang that makes your ears ring. He pulls the net, trying to drag you down. You remember the doctor's lessons about fighting against the net. Do not panic, do not pull, cut the net. You slash with your gladius, severing the cords. The net falls away. You advance on the Retiarius, while he still has his trident, but before he can draw his dagger. You drive your shield into him, knocking him back, and place the point of your gladius against his throat. The doctore's voice cuts across the practice ring. Good. You are learning. As the months pass, you begin to understand the culture of the Ludus, the unspoken rules and hierarchies. The veterans have status. They are served first at meals. They have the better bunks, the ones away from the door and the latrine. The novices defer to them. This is not cruelty, it is practicality. The veterans have survived, they have knowledge. Learning from them might keep you alive. There is also surprising camaraderie. You are all slaves. You are all facing the same fate. Men who might be matched against each other in the arena become friends in the Ludus. You share meals, share stories, share the burden of what you are becoming. When a gladiator falls in the arena, the others mourn. Not openly, not loudly, but you see it in their faces, in the way they become quieter for a few days. You learn the language of the scars. A long, clean cut across the forearm usually means a missed block. A puncture wound in the thigh often means the opponent came in low while you were focused high. The worst scars are the ones on the back, because they mean you turned away, you ran. No one speaks to the men with scars on their backs. They have shown cowardice. They are already fallen, even if they still breathe. The doctore continues to push you. He is never satisfied. A good strike is met with silence. An excellent strike might earn a nod. A perfect strike, executed with flawless form and devastating effect, might earn a grunt of approval. You learn to treasure these tiny acknowledgements. They become more valuable than gold. One afternoon, after you execute a particularly clean disarm against another gladiator in sparring, the doctore calls you over. He looks at you with those cold, grey eyes. You are ready, he says, not perfect. You will never be perfect, but ready. When the Lanista calls for fighters, I will recommend you. Do you understand what this means? You nod. You understand. It means you are going to the arena. It means you are going to fight. It means you are going to prevail or to fall. Good, the doctore says. Now go practice your footwork. You still pivot too wide on your left side. You return to the practice ring. The doctor is right. You always pivot too wide on the left. You drill the movement for another hour, feeling the sand shift beneath your feet, adjusting your balance, narrowing the pivot, over and over, until your legs shake, until the movement becomes automatic. This is how you survive. This is the way. The training intensifies. Now, you face other gladiators in the practice ring, men who have been here longer, who know the techniques, who do not hesitate. The first time you spar with a real sword against a real opponent, you are terrified. The doctore has placed blunted edges on the training blades, but they can still bruise, still cut if you are careless. Your opponent is a Gaul, a prisoner of war who has been in the Ludus for over a year. He is fast and experienced. Within seconds, he slips past your shield and taps the blunt edge of his sword against your ribs. Strike, he says in accented Latin, a fatal strike. The doctor's whip cracks against the ground near your feet. Again, he commands. You raise your shield. You try again. Again, the Gaul defeats you. Strike. Again. Strike. Again. This time, you last longer. You manage to parry 2 of his strikes, but the third gets through. Strike. The sparring continues, day after day, week after week. Slowly, painfully, you improve. You learn to read an opponent's body, to see the slight shift in weight that precedes a strike, to recognize the pattern of their attacks. You learn that most fighters have habits, preferences, tells. You learn to exploit them. The training becomes more sophisticated. The doctore introduces you to different scenarios. Fighting in the heat of midday when the sun is blinding and sweat pours into your eyes. Fighting when you are already wounded, with a strip of cloth tied around your thigh to simulate injury, forcing you to compensate. Fighting against multiple opponents in succession, learning to manage fatigue, to ration your energy. You spar against a Thraex, who is impossibly fast, his curved seeker darting like a snake's tongue. You learn that against speed, you must be patient. You make yourself a wall, your shield always between you and him, waiting for the moment when his speed betrays him into overextension. When it comes, you are ready. Your gladius finds the gap under his arm. Strike. You face a hoplomachus with his long spear, who keeps you at distance for agonizing minutes. You learn that against reach, you must be willing to take a hit to close the gap. You accept a thrust against your shield that nearly knocks you back, but you use the impact to surge forward inside his range, where the spear is useless. Your shield rim strikes his jaw. Strike. You fight a Retiarius who tangles your legs in his net and nearly drags you down. You learn that against the net, panic is your enemy. You methodically cut the cords while defending against his trident, then close the distance before he can redeploy. Your gladius finds his unarmored chest. Strike. Each lesson is burned into your body through repetition and pain. Your muscles learn, your bones learn, your instincts learn. After 6 months in the Ludus, you win your first sparring match against an experienced gladiator, not a novice. The fight is against another murmillo, a man who has survived 3 arena bouts. His name is Gallus, and he is known for his defensive style, his ability to wait out opponents until they exhaust themselves. The doctore pairs you against him on a scorching afternoon. The courtyard sand is hot enough to burn bare feet. You circle each other in the practice ring. Gallus does not attack. He simply holds his position, shield high, gladius ready, waiting. You know what he is doing. He is testing your patience, trying to bait you into a reckless assault. You do not take the bait. You have learned patience from the doctore. You match Gallus's defensive stance, waiting for him to reveal something. Minutes pass. The watching gladiators grow restless. Someone calls out for action. The doctore silences them with a look. Finally, Gallus shifts his weight ever so slightly. It is tiny, almost imperceptible, but you see it. He is preparing to attack. When his strike comes, a powerful overhead slash, you are already moving. You sidestep, letting the blow pass harmlessly by, and counter with a thrust to his exposed side. Your blunted blade strikes his ribs hard enough to bruise. He grunts in pain and stumbles. Strike, you say. Gallus lowers his sword and nods. Well fought. The doctor watches from the side of the ring. When you step out, he gives you the smallest nod. It is the first praise you have received. You feel a strange pride. You hate that you feel it. You are a slave. You should not take pride in learning to conquer, but you cannot help it. You are becoming what they are making you, a gladiator. The physical transformation continues. After 8 months of the barley diet and constant training, your body has been completely remade. You step into the communal bath one evening and catch sight of your reflection in the polished bronze mirror that hangs on the wall. The man looking back at you is a stranger. Your shoulders are massive, built up from years of carrying the heavy scutum. Your chest is deep and barrel-shaped from the constant exertion. Your arms are thick with muscle, the veins standing out like cords beneath the skin. But your waist is thicker too, softer, layered with the protective fat that the barley builds. You look powerful but also strange, top-heavy, built for a specific purpose. The scars are already accumulating. A long pink line across your left forearm where a training blade cut too deep. A puckered mark on your right shoulder where a trident point caught you during a sparring session with a Retiarius. Small nicks and cuts on your hands and arms, the inevitable result of working with sharp steel every day. Your face has changed too. The jaw is stronger, more defined from the constant clenching required to keep your mouth shut during exertion. Your eyes are different, harder, more watchful. You look older than your years. The farm boy is gone. In his place is something else, a weapon, a tool, a gladiator. That night, lying on your bunk, you think about your wife and daughter for the first time in weeks. It surprises you that you have not thought of them. They used to occupy every moment of your mind. But the Ludus has beaten them out of you, or perhaps you have locked them away in some deep place where they cannot distract you from survival. You wonder if your daughter can walk yet. She would be almost 2 years old now. Does she remember you? Does your wife speak your name to her, tell her about her father? Or has she found another man, someone to work the land and provide for them? You hope she has. You hope they have survived. You hope they have forgotten you, because remembering would only bring pain. Sleep comes slowly that night, and when it does, you dream of the farm. But in the dream, you are not Marcus the farmer. You are Ferrum the gladiator, walking through the fields with a gladius in your hand and a shield on your arm. The wheat is red instead of gold. The soil is dark with shadow. You wake before dawn, your heart racing, and you know the truth. The farm is gone, Marcus is gone. There is only this. There is only the Ludus and the arena and the terrible path ahead. In your 8th month in the Ludus, the Lanista announces that a selection is being made. The next games are approaching, sponsored by a wealthy senator to celebrate his son's entry into public life. The Lanista has been contracted to provide fighters. He will choose from those who are ready. That evening, the doctore walks through the barracks, pointing to certain men. You, and you, and you. When he points at you, your stomach clenches. This is it. This is what all the training has been for. 20 men are selected. The next morning, you are separated from the others and taken to a different part of the compound, the cells near the gate. These are where gladiators are kept just before they are sent to the arena. The cells are small, stone-walled, with heavy wooden doors. You are not locked in, but you could be. The message is clear. You are not training anymore. You are preparing for war. For 3 days, you are given special treatment. More food, better wine instead of water. Massages from the Ludus physicians to loosen your muscles. The Lanista wants you in peak condition. You are his investment. If you fall too quickly, he loses money. If you fight well, he gains reputation and future contracts. On the 4th day, the entire group is assembled in the courtyard. The Lanista himself stands before you. Beside him is the doctore. Behind them, the gates are open. Beyond the gates, you can see the wagons that will take you to Rome, to the Colosseum. But first, there is one final ritual, the Sacramentum Gladiatorum, the gladiator's oath. The Lanista speaks. You are going to the arena. Some of you will live, some of you will fall. This is the way of things. But before you go, you will swear the oath. You will bind yourselves by the most terrible words a man can speak. This oath has been spoken by gladiators for centuries. It is sacred. It is absolute. He gestures. You and the other 19 men form a line. One by one, you step forward and kneel. When your turn comes, you kneel on the packed earth. The doctore stands over you. He speaks the words first, and you repeat them. I swear to endure burning, binding, beating, and the fate of the sword. You repeat the words. Your voice is steady. I swear to endure, burning, binding, beating, and the fate of the sword. The doctore continues. I pledge my body and my life to the service of my master. I accept that I am his to command, his to use, his to dispose of as he sees fit. You repeat it. By this oath I surrender my fear. By this oath I embrace my fate. If I must fall, I will endure well. You repeat it. The doctore places his hand on your head. By this oath, you are bound. Rise, gladiator. You rise. The other men go through the same ritual. When all 20 have sworn, the Lanista nods. It is done. You belong to the arena now. The strange thing about the oath is that it brings a kind of peace. For 8 months, you have lived with fear, the constant gnawing fear of what is coming. But by swearing the oath, by accepting the worst that can happen, you find that the fear begins to dissolve. You have pledged to endure the fate of the sword. Very well. If the end comes, it comes. You will face it. You will not beg. You will not grovel. You will fall as a gladiator falls, with whatever dignity you can muster. The wagons carry you along the Via Ostiensis toward Rome. It is a journey you make in silence. The other gladiators do not speak. Each man is alone with his thoughts, preparing himself in his own way. As you approach the city, you see the great aqueducts carrying water into Rome from the distant hills. You see the tombs that line the roads, the monuments to the dead. You see the walls of Rome itself, massive and ancient, and rising above everything, visible for miles, you see it. The Colosseum, the Flavian amphitheatre, the greatest arena ever built. It is colossal. The word does not do it justice. It is a mountain of stone, 4 stories tall, oval in shape, dominating the valley between the Palatine and Esquiline hills. Even from a distance, you can see the arches, the columns, the thousands of seats. You can imagine the roar of the crowd, the weight of their gaze. The wagons take you not to the Colosseum itself, but to a holding area nearby, a compound where gladiators are kept before the games. Here you will wait, here you will prepare, and tomorrow you will fight. The night before the games is long. You do not sleep, none of the gladiators sleep. You sit in the holding cells, listening to the sounds of the city, the distant noise of taverns and shops, the barking of dogs, the rumble of carts on stone streets. Some men pray to their gods, some sharpen their weapons, even though the blades are already perfect. Some simply stare at the walls, lost in their own thoughts. At dawn, the guards come. You are led through a series of tunnels and passages, descending beneath the streets, beneath the buildings, down into the underworld beneath the arena. This is the hypogeum, the network of corridors and chambers that lies beneath the Colosseum floor. It is a hidden world, vast and complex, where the machinery of the games operates. You wait in a large chamber with the other gladiators. The air is cool and damp, smelling of stone and old iron. You can hear sounds from above, muffled but unmistakable. The crowd is arriving. Thousands upon thousands of people filing into the seats, tier after tier, filling the amphitheatre with noise and energy. The doctore moves among you, checking armor, adjusting straps, offering last words of advice. When he reaches you, he places a hand on your shoulder. Remember what you have learned, he says. The shield is your wall. The sword is your tongue. Keep your shield up. Do not rush. Let your opponent make the first mistake. You are ready. You nod. Your mouth is dry. Your heart pounds in your chest like a drum. He continues. The crowd wants a show. Give it to them. Fight with skill. Fight with courage. If you are wounded, do not show fear. If you are defeated, do not beg. Accept your fate with dignity. This is all we can control. The rest is in the hands of the gods. He moves on. You stand there, gripping your shield, feeling the weight of the gladius at your side. You are wearing the full armor of the murmillo now. The heavy bronze helmet with the wide brim and the iconic fish crest. The manica, the segmented armor that protects your sword arm. The greave on your left leg. The thick leather belt around your waist. The large rectangular shield, the scutum, painted red with the emblem of your Ludus. The armor is heavy, but you have trained in it for months. You know how it moves, how it restricts you, how to fight despite it. The helmet is the worst part. It limits your vision to a narrow slit. It makes the world close and claustrophobic, but it also protects your head, your life. An official enters the chamber and announces the order of bouts. You will fight third. Your opponent is a Threx from a different Ludus, a man you have never met. The official describes him briefly. Experienced, 4 victories, skilled with the curved blade. You listen. You commit the information to memory. Then you wait. The first bout begins. You cannot see it, but you can hear it. The roar of the crowd when the gladiators emerge. The sudden eruptions of noise when something dramatic happens. The fight lasts perhaps 10 minutes, though it is hard to judge time down here in the dark. Then there is a final, enormous roar. It is over. You do not know who won. You do not know if the loser has fallen. The second bout begins. The same pattern, the roar, the fight. The final surge of noise, then silence, or as close to silence as the Colosseum ever gets with 50,000 people in the seats. Then it is your turn. The official gestures to you. You walk forward. Your legs feel strange, both weak and strong at the same time. You enter a small cage, a platform on a mechanical lift. Another gladiator, your opponent, enters a cage on the opposite side of the hypogeum. You can barely see him in the dim light, but you see enough. He is smaller than you but looks fast, lean, dangerous. The official gives a signal. Machinery creaks. The lift begins to rise. Slowly, steadily, You ascend through a shaft in the stone. Above you, you see daylight, growing brighter and brighter. You hear the crowd, growing louder and louder. Then you rise up through the arena floor and emerge into the light. The noise hits you like a physical blow. 50,000 voices merge into a single sustained roar, so loud it makes your bones vibrate, so loud it seems to have physical weight pressing against your chest. The light is blinding after the darkness of the hypogeum. The sun is directly overhead, turning the world white and blazing. You squint behind your helmet, trying to adjust, trying to see through the narrow vision slit. The arena floor is sand, golden sand imported from Egypt, spread thick over the stone. The sand is there to absorb the cost of the fight. You know this, you have been told this, but seeing it now, feeling it beneath your feet, the knowledge becomes real in a way it never was in the Ludus. This sand has witnessed the struggles of thousands. Today it will witness more. You are standing in the center of an oval space, perhaps 200 feet long and 100 feet wide. Rising around you on all sides are the seats, tier after tier, stretching up toward the sky like the walls of a canyon. Every seat is filled. Every face is turned toward you. The crowd is a living entity, a creature of 50,000 heads and 100,000 hands, all of them focused on this moment, on you, on what is about to happen. You can see individual faces in the front rows, men and women, rich and poor. You can see them eating, drinking, talking, laughing. To them, you are entertainment. You are not a man. You are a spectacle, a piece of the show they have paid to see. The realization is oddly calming. You do not need to be a man here. You need to be a gladiator. The cage descends back into the hypogeum with a mechanical grinding sound, leaving you standing alone on the sand. Your opponent is 40 feet away, also abandoned by his lift. He is armed as a Thraex, with the small round shield held in his left hand, the curved seeker in his right, and the distinctive griffin crest on his helmet that marks his fighting style. He is already moving toward you, not running, not rushing, but advancing with the measured, deliberate pace of a man who has done this before, who knows what is coming, who has already accepted it. You raise your shield. The scutum is heavy, but your arm has been trained for this weight. You draw your gladius from its sheath at your belt. The blade comes free with a whisper of metal on leather. The doctore's voice echoes in your mind, as clear as if he were standing beside you. The shield is your wall. The sword is your tongue. Keep your shield up. Do not rush. Let your opponent make the first mistake. The crowd's roar changes in pitch, becoming higher, more excited. They can sense it. The fight is beginning. You take a breath. The air inside your helmet is hot and close, thick with the smell of your own sweat and the metallic tang of the bronze. Your heart is pounding so hard you can hear it, a steady drum that seems to echo inside the enclosed space of the helmet. Your hands are steady. This surprises you. You thought they would shake, but the training has taken hold. Your body knows what to do even if your mind is screaming. The Thraex closes the distance between you to about 20 feet and then stops. He is studying you, watching your stance, looking for weaknesses. You do the same. He is shorter than you, but looks quick, balanced on the balls of his feet, weight-centered. His shield is small, which means he will rely on speed and evasion rather than defense. The curved seeker is a vicious weapon at close range, designed to hook around shields and find openings. The fight begins. He comes in fast, faster than you expected, closing the gap between you in 3 quick strides. The seeker slashes at your head. You raise your shield instinctively, and the curved blade strikes the bronze facing with a clang that makes your ears ring even inside the helmet. The impact jars your arm, sending vibrations up through your shoulder. He is strong, stronger than he looks. He does not give you time to recover. He presses the attack, slashing again, this time lower at your exposed right leg. You drop the shield to block, feeling the weight of the scutum working with you, using gravity to drive the defense. The Secutor scrapes across the edge of the shield with a screech of metal on wood. You thrust your gladius at his midsection, but he is already gone, dancing back 3 steps, light on his feet. The crowd roars its approval. They like this. They like the speed, the aggression, the sound of weapons striking shields. You can feel their energy, a physical presence in the air, pushing at you, demanding more. He circles to his right, moving around you, trying to find an angle where your large shield is less effective. You pivot to face him, keeping the scutum between you and his blade. Your feet shift in the sand, finding purchase, staying balanced. The doctore drilled this into you. Footwork, balance. Never commit your weight until you are ready to strike. The Thrax feints to his left, a quick shoulder movement that suggests he will strike high. You start to raise your shield, but something stops you. Some instinct, some lesson from the countless hours of sparring. The feint is too obvious, too clean. You hold your shield low. His real attack comes a heartbeat later, the Seeker cutting in low and fast, exactly where your shield would have been if you had fallen for the feint. Instead, the blade finds only the rim of your scutum. You shove forward with the shield, using his own momentum against him, and the Thrax staggers. You press the attack. You step forward, your gladius thrusting at his exposed side, but he recovers quickly, bringing his small shield around to deflect your blade. Metal scrapes on metal. You are close now, close enough to see his eyes through the narrow slit in his helmet. They are dark, focused, unafraid. You see the moment he decides to disengage. He pushes off with his back leg and creates space between you. The fight settles into a rhythm. He attacks in quick flurries, testing your defense, looking for openings. You defend, patient, measured, waiting for your moment. The sand shifts beneath your feet with each step, each pivot. It is harder to move in sand than on the packed earth of the Ludus. Each movement requires more effort, more energy. You can feel the heat building inside your armor. Sweat runs down your face, stinging your eyes, soaking the leather padding inside your helmet. Your breathing is loud in your ears, rasping and harsh, echoing in the enclosed space. The crowd noise is constant, a wall of sound that rises and falls with each exchange, each near miss, each successful block. But you are learning to tune it out, to let it become background, like the rush of wind or the sound of rain. There is only you and him, only the shield and the sword, only this moment, this exchange, this battle for survival. Minutes pass, the fighting continues. You trade strikes and blocks, neither of you landing a decisive blow. You can feel your arms beginning to tire. The shield grows heavier with each passing minute. The gladius, which felt so light at the beginning, now pulls at your wrist with every thrust. But you know he is tiring too. You can see it in the way his attacks are becoming slightly slower, slightly less crisp. The heat and the weight of the armor are affecting him as well. You watch him carefully, looking for the pattern the doctor taught you to find. Every fighter has one. Every fighter develops habits, and there it is. After 3 strikes, he always circles to his right, always. It is subtle, almost unconscious, but it is there. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Strike, 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 circle right. Strike, 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 circle right. He does it 4 times while you watch, confirming the pattern. Now you know. Now you can act. You wait. You let him attack. Once, twice, 3 times. You block each strike, giving no indication that you have seen his pattern. Then he begins to circle right, just as you knew he would. This time, you are ready. You do not pivot to follow him. Instead, you step forward and right, cutting off his angle of movement, and you drive the edge of your shield directly into his shoulder. The impact is solid, brutal. You feel it through the wood and leather of the scutum, feel the shock of bone meeting resistance. The Thrax stumbles backward, his balance broken. his right arm dropping slightly from the force of the blow. The crowd erupts. The roar is deafening, triumphant, expectant. They sense the shift in momentum. They can smell the approaching end. You press forward, not wild, but controlled, the way the doctore taught you. You strike high with the gladius. He blocks with his small shield, but the force of the blow drives his arm down. You see the opening. You thrust. The point of your gladius catches him in the side, sliding past his defense. His strength fades. The crowd roars like thunder. He stumbles back, clutching his side. You advance. He tries to defend, but he is weakening, slowing. You strike again, this time at his sword arm. The gladius cuts into his bicep. The psyche falls from his hand into the sand. He drops to his knees. The fight is over. You stand over him, your gladius pointed at his throat. The noise of the crowd changes, becomes expectant. This is the moment, the decision, the final verdict. You look up toward the editor's box, the special seating area, where the sponsor of the games sits, the wealthy senator. He is standing, looking down at the arena, at you, at your defeated opponent. The crowd is chanting, some shouting for mercy, some for the end. The senator raises his hand. The crowd quiets slightly, waiting. He extends his hand, thumb horizontal. Missus, let him live. You lower your sword. You step back. Attendants rush onto the sand and help your opponent to his feet. He is wounded but alive. He will be treated. He will fight another day. You turn away and walk toward the gate of life, the exit reserved for victors. As you walk, the crowd's roar follows you, a wave of sound and energy. You have won. You have survived. You are a gladiator now, in truth. The games last 3 days. You fight twice more over the course of the festival, each bout a test of everything you have learned, everything you have become. The second fight comes on the afternoon of the second day. You are matched against another murmillo, a man from a Ludus in Capua. His name, his fighting name, is Brutus, and he is everything the crowd loves. Tall, powerfully built, with a face like carved granite and a record of 7 victories. When you both emerge onto the sand, the crowd cheers louder for him than for you. He is the favorite. You are the unknown, the new blood, the potential sacrifice to his glory. The fight is brutal from the first moment. Brutus does not circle, does not test, does not wait. He charges straight at you like a bull, his shield raised, his gladius ready. The impact, when your shields meet, nearly knocks you off your feet. The force of it drives you backward 3 steps, your feet sliding in the sand. He is immensely strong, stronger than anyone you have faced in the Ludus. He strikes immediately, a powerful overhand slash aimed at your helmeted head. You raise your shield to block, and the impact rattles your teeth. He strikes again before you can counter, a thrust aimed at your midsection. You twist, letting the blade scrape across the face of your shield rather than finding flesh. The crowd roars. They are enjoying this, the underdog being pressed, the favourite dominating. But the doctor's lessons hold you steady. Brutus is strong, but strength has a cost. Every powerful strike requires energy. Every full-force blow burns through reserves of stamina. You can outlast him if you can survive his initial assault. You shift your strategy. You stop trying to counter. You focus entirely on defense, on making him work for every inch of ground, on forcing him to expend energy while you conserve yours. Minutes pass. Brutus continues to attack with ferocious intensity, but you can see the signs. His breathing is becoming heavier, more laboured. His strikes are fractionally slower. The power is still there, but the precision is fading. He is tiring himself out. You wait for your moment. It comes after perhaps 15 minutes of grinding, exhausting combat. Brutus commits to a massive overhead strike, putting all his weight behind it, trying to smash through your defense with pure force. Instead of blocking it with your shield, You sidestep at the last possible moment. His gladius strikes the sand where you are standing, driving deep into the ground. For a heartbeat, the blade is stuck, and Brutus is off balance, overextended. You strike. Not with your sword, but with your shield, driving the edge into the side of his helmet with all the force you can muster. The impact makes a sound like a bell being struck. Brutus staggers, his legs wobbling, his guard dropping. You follow immediately with a thrust from your gladius, catching him in the gap between his cuirass and his belt. The point sinks in, not deep, but enough. His strength fades. The crowd's roar changes pitch, becomes higher, more frenzied. This is what they came to see. The favourite wounded, the unknown rising, the drama of reversal. Brutus tries to recover, tries to raise his shield, but he is slowing now, fading. You press your advantage, not wild, not reckless, but with controlled aggression. You strike his sword arm with the edge of your shield, a calculated blow aimed at the muscle just above the elbow. You hear something crack. His gladius falls from his hand, into the sand. He drops to his knees. The fight is over. You stand over him, your gladius pointed at his throat, your chest heaving with exhaustion. The crowd is deafening now, a storm of noise and energy. You look toward the editor's box, where the senator sits watching. The crowd begins to chant, some for mercy, some for the end. The senator stands. He surveys the crowd, drawing out the moment, making them wait. Then he extends his hand, thumb turned down. The end. Your heart stops. You look down at Brutus. He is staring up at you through the slit in his helmet. He is not begging. He is not pleading. He is simply waiting. He nods once, a small gesture, permission, acceptance. You kneel beside him. You speak quietly, so only he can hear over the roar of the crowd. I will give you rest. He nods again. Thank you. You place the point of your gladius against the gap in his armor, just below the collarbone, angled upward toward the heart. You speak the words the doctore taught you, the words that ease the passage. Go well, brother. You thrust. The blade slides in smoothly. Brutus stiffens for a moment, then relaxes. His breathing stops. He finds peace. You withdraw the gladius and stand. The crowd erupts in triumph. They have seen the end. They have been given their spectacle. You walk toward the gate of life, leaving Brutus's body on the sand for the attendants to remove. As you walk, you feel something break inside you, some final piece of the man you were. You have prevailed. Not in sparring, not in practice, but in truth. The weight on your gladius is real. The life you ended is real. And you must carry this now. You must live with what you have done. The third fight, on the final day of the games, is different. You are matched against a Hoplomachus, a spear fighter from a Ludus in Pompeii. He is young, perhaps your age, and you can see the fear in his movements. The way his spear point wavers slightly, the way he holds back. This is likely his first real fight in the major arena. He is terrified. The fight does not last long. His fear makes him hesitant, and hesitation in the arena is failure. You close the distance, accepting a glancing blow from his spear against your shield, and once you are inside his reach, the long spear becomes useless. He tries to draw his short backup sword, but you are faster. You sweep his legs with your shield, dropping him to the sand, and place your gladius against his throat. The crowd votes quickly. Missus. Let him live. He's too green, too afraid to be satisfying. There is no sport in defeating prey that does not fight back. You help him to his feet. You speak to him quietly as the attendants come to lead him away. Train harder. Fear is your enemy. Overcome it, or it will defeat you. He nods, his eyes wide behind his helmet. He is led away. You walk back through the gate of life for the third time in 3 days. 3 fights, 2 victories, 1 mercy. This is your record now. This is what you are. You return to the Ludus with the other survivors. Out of the 20 men who went to the games, 16 return. 4 have fallen, buried in the common grave reserved for gladiators outside the city walls, their bodies stripped of armor and equipment, tossed into a pit with dozens of others who fell that same day. The Lanista is pleased. You fought well. You gave the crowd what they wanted. More importantly, you survived. Your value has increased significantly. The Lanista can now charge higher fees for your appearances. You will be matched more carefully from now on, placed in fights that showcase your skill, that build your reputation, that maximize his profit. That evening, in the barracks, Tiberius sits with you. He has also returned from the games. He fought once and survived. He looks at you with a knowing sadness. The first defeat never leaves you, he says. You will remember his face forever. The way he looked at you, the way he accepted it. This is the burden we carry. We are not warriors fighting for a cause. We are performers making men fall for entertainment. There is no honor in that, only survival. He stands and walks away. You lie on your bunk, staring at the ceiling. You can still feel the resistance when your gladius entered Brutus's chest. You can still see the way his body relaxed, the way peace took him. You close your eyes, but sleep will not come. Not tonight, maybe not for many nights. The months become years. You fight in more games. Rome, Pompeii, Capua, Ravenna, Verona. The cities blur together. The arenas are different sizes, different shapes, but the sand is always the same color, always golden, always thirsty for victory. You become known. The crowd learns to recognize you. They begin to chant the name the Lanista gave you, Ferrum, iron, because your defense is unyielding, because you cannot be broken, because you endure. Young men in the crowd point at you and dream of glory. They do not understand. They see only the triumph, the raised fist, the wreath. They do not see the nightmares. They do not see the scars, both visible and hidden. They do not see the men you have sent away, their faces haunting your sleep. You develop a reputation as a careful fighter, skilled but not flashy, effective but not cruel. You finish fights as quickly as possible. When you must strike, you make it clean. When mercy is granted, you help your opponent from the sand. The crowd does not always love this. They sometimes want more drama, more suffering. But the editors respect it. A gladiator who fights with skill and honor brings prestige to the games. After your 10th fight, the doctor pulls you aside. He looks older now, more worn. The years are catching up to him. You have done well, Ferrum, he says. Better than I expected when I first saw you in the courtyard. You were soft then, a farmer playing at being a fighter. But you learned, you adapted, you survived. This is rare. Gestem platzi / oh no. Most men fall in their first 5 fights. You've had 10 and still walk. He pauses, choosing his words carefully. But I must warn you, the longer you survive, the harder the fights will become. The Lanista will match you against more skilled opponents, because that is what the crowd demands. They want to see champions clash. They want drama. You will face men like yourself, veterans, survivors. The odds will shift against you. Be careful, be smart, and remember, the goal is not glory. The goal is freedom. Keep your eyes on the Rudis. That is all that matters. You nod. You understand. The Rudis, the wooden sword, the symbol of freedom. It is given to gladiators who have fought with exceptional skill and courage, who have won enough times to earn their release. It is rare. Perhaps one gladiator in 100 ever receives it, but it is possible, and possibility is enough. It is what keeps you alive. After 3 years and 23 fights, something changes. You feel it one morning as you rise from your bunk. Your body aches in new ways. Not the sharp pain of injury or the dull burn of exhausted muscles, but a deeper ache, something in the bones themselves. You are 26 years old, but you feel ancient. The constant training, the fights, the injuries that never quite heal properly, all of it has taken a toll. You see it in the mirror when you wash. The scars have multiplied. They cover your arms, your chest, your legs like a crude map. Some are thin white lines, barely visible. Others are thick and ropey, the result of deep cuts that were sewn shut by the Ludus physicians. Your nose has been broken twice and sits slightly crooked. Your knuckles are swollen and misshapen from punching shields and helmets. Your left knee, injured in a fight 2 years ago, still swells when the weather changes. But you are still here, still breathing, still fighting, and that is what matters. Your 23rd fight is in the Colosseum, during the games celebrating the Emperor Trajan's victory in Dacia. It is a massive festival, a week of spectacles and contest. You are matched against a Retiarius from Capua, a man known as Aquila, the Eagle, because of his speed and the way he strikes from unexpected angles with his trident. The fight is everything you feared it would be. Aquila is brilliant, creative, dangerous. He uses his net with devastating effectiveness, throwing it not to trap you but to herd you, to limit your movement, to create openings for his trident. The weighted edges of the net strike your helmet twice, making your ears ring, disorienting you. The trident comes in fast and precise, forcing you to defend with your shield while avoiding the net. For minutes that feel like hours, you are on the defensive, struggling to close the distance, to get inside the reach of his weapons. The crowd is roaring, delighted by the spectacle, by the skill on display, by the genuine danger of the fight. You take a cut to your right thigh when the trident slips past your shield. The pain is sharp and immediate, and warmth flows freely, soaking your subligaculum, but the cut gives you something. Aquila sees it, sees the weakness, and assumes you are fading. He presses harder, more aggressive, and that aggression creates the opening you need. He throws his net again, trying to trap your shield arm. Instead of pulling back, you step forward into the throw. The net tangles around your shield, but you pivot, using the weight and momentum of the net to pull Aquila off balance. His trident thrust goes wide. You drop your shield, letting it fall away still tangled in the net, and you step inside his guard with just your gladius. The fight becomes brutal and intimate. You grapple, close enough to smell his sweat, to hear his breathing inside his helmet. You lock your free arm around his trident, trapping it against your body, preventing him from using it. Your gladius finds the gap in his armor, the unprotected space under his arm. You thrust once, precisely, and feel the blade slide between ribs. Aquila goes still. You release him, and he sinks to his knees, then falls forward onto the sand. The crowd erupts in a sound that is part triumph, part disappointment. It was a good fight, a skilled fight, but they wanted it to last longer. They always want more. You stand over Aquila's body, breathing hard, warmth running down your leg from your wound. You have won, but the cost is high. Not just the physical injury, but the weariness that settles over you like a heavy cloak. How many more fights can you endure? How many more times can you stand on this sand and fight for your life? How many more men must you face before it ends? The attendants come to remove Aquila's body. They take your abandoned shield as well. You limp toward the gate of life. The wound in your thigh will need stitching. It will scar badly. It will add to the collection. That evening, back in the Ludus, the Lanista calls you into his office. You expect another contract, another assignment, another city, another arena. Instead, you find the doctor already there, standing beside the Lanista's desk. They both look at you with expressions you cannot quite read. The Lanista speaks first. "You have served me well, Ferrum. Better than I expected when I bought you in Ostia. You have fought 23 times. You have won 20 times. You have fallen 0 times. This is exceptional, truly exceptional. You have brought honor to my Ludus. You have made me wealthy. And more importantly, you have given the crowd what they crave: courage, skill, the will to survive." He pauses. He picks up something from his desk. It is a Rudis, a wooden practice sword, But this one is different. It is polished, smooth, carved with decorative patterns of vines and leaves, beautiful in its simplicity. It gleams in the lamplight. "This is yours," he says. "Your freedom. You have earned it." The world seems to stop. The words do not make sense at first. Your freedom, earned, the Rudis. The wooden sword that means the end of slavery, the end of fighting, the end of the struggle. The doctor steps forward. He clasps your shoulder, his grip firm and warm. "You are free," he says. His voice is thick with emotion you have never heard from him before. "You may leave. You may go wherever you wish, or you may stay, if you choose." Some men choose to stay. Some become trainers like me, some become guards, some simply cannot let go of this life. The choice is yours. You take the Rudis. It is light in your hand, lighter than the gladius, lighter than the heavy training sword you wielded for so long. But it carries more weight than any weapon you have ever held. It is freedom. It is your life, given back to you after 3 years of servitude, 3 years of struggle, 3 years of survival. You find that you cannot speak. Your throat is tight. Your eyes burn with unshed tears. You nod instead, gripping the Rudis like it might disappear if you let go. The Lanista continues. "I give you this not just because you deserve it, but because you have done what few gladiators do. You have fought with honor. When you struck, you made it precise. When mercy was granted, you showed respect to your opponents. You never cheated. You never begged. You gave the crowd art, not just violence. For this, you have my gratitude and my respect." The doctore speaks again. "Tomorrow, you walk out of here a free man, but tonight, stay, eat with us. Say goodbye to the others. They deserve to see that freedom is possible. They deserve to see proof that the oath can be fulfilled, that survival leads somewhere." You nod again. Still unable to speak, still clutching the Rudis. That night, you sit in the barracks with the other gladiators. They gather around you, these men who have shared your life for 3 years, who have trained beside you, eaten beside you, fought beside you. Tiberius is there, and Gallus, and a dozen others whose names and faces have become as familiar as family. They want to touch the Rudis, to hold it, to feel what freedom weighs. You pass it around, letting each man take it in their hands for a moment. Some stare at it with hunger in their eyes. Some look at it with the resigned knowledge that they will never hold their own. Some smile and congratulate you. Some say nothing, their faces unreadable. Tiberius speaks for them all. "You did it, Ferrum. You survived. You earned this. Now you must do something for us. You must live, truly live. Not just survive, not just endure, but live. Have a family, plant a garden, grow old, do all the things we cannot do. And when you are old and grey, remember us. Remember the men who did not make it out. Remember that we existed." You promise him you will. You promise all of them. You leave the Ludus the next morning at dawn. You walk through the gates, the same gates you entered 3 years ago as a slave, as a nameless debtor, as property. You walk out as a free man. You carry nothing but the Rudis and the clothes on your back, a simple tunic the Lanista gave you as a parting gift. You have no money, no home, no family waiting for you. The world outside the Ludus walls is strange and overwhelming after 3 years of confinement. The streets of the town are crowded with people going about their ordinary lives. Merchants selling bread and oil, women carrying water jugs, children playing in the dusty alleys. They glance at you as you pass, seeing the scars, the broken nose, the way you move like a fighter, even now, and they know what you were. They step aside to let you pass. You walk the roads back toward your old farm. It takes you 2 days, sleeping rough by the roadside. Eating bread, you beg from a tavern keeper who recognizes the Rudis and understands what it means. Freedom earned in blood. He does not charge you. He simply nods and gives you the bread and a skin of wine. When you arrive at the farm, you see that the land is still being worked, but by other hands now. The fields are planted with wheat, the same wheat you once planted. The low stone wall still marks the boundary, but everything else has changed. Your old house is occupied by a different family. You see a man working in the field, a woman hanging washing on a line, 2 small children playing near the well. You stand at the wall and look at the fields you once knew so well. You remember Marcus, the man who worked this soil, who loved his wife and daughter, who never dreamed of the life that was coming. That man is gone. He was lost in the slave market in Ostia, or perhaps in the first weeks of training, or perhaps in the first fight when he defeated another man and felt the weight of what he had become. You do not go inside, you do not announce yourself. There is nothing for you there, that life is gone. The family you had is gone. Your wife has likely remarried. Your daughter, if she is alive, would be nearly 6 years old now. She would not remember you. She would not know your face. You are a stranger to her, and perhaps that is for the best. You turn away and walk to the nearest town. You spend a week searching for work, offering your skills wherever they might be useful. You are too old to return to farming, and the life does not call to you anyway. You cannot imagine spending your days planting and harvesting after everything you have seen, everything you have done. Instead, you find work as a guard for a wealthy merchant who trades in wine and olive oil. The merchant has a warehouse near the docks and needs someone to protect his goods from thieves. When he learns you're a freed gladiator, he hires you immediately. The reputation of the arena follows you. Men who survive the games are respected, feared. No common thief will risk confronting a man who has defeated trained fighters in front of 50,000 witnesses. The work is easy compared to the Ludus. You stand watch at night, walking the perimeter of the warehouse, checking the locks, listening for suspicious sounds. Occasionally, you confront would-be thieves, but usually your presence alone is enough to send them elsewhere. Once, 3 men try to force their way into the warehouse. You stop them with nothing more than a look and a hand on the gladius you still carry at your belt. They see your scars, see the way you stand, and they know. They leave. The merchant pays you well, gives you a small room above the warehouse to sleep in, provides your meals. It is a simple life, a quiet life, and after 3 years of constant noise and violence, you find that you crave the quiet. But the quiet brings its own challenges. In the Ludus, you were never alone with your thoughts. There was always training, always noise, always other men around you. Now, in the silence of your room at night, the memories come. You dream of the arena. You dream of the men you defeated. You remember their faces, their names, the way they looked at you in the final moments. Brutus, who nodded permission and thanked you for giving him rest. Aquila, who fell forward into the sand with your blade between his ribs. Others whose names you never learned, whose faces blur together, but whose ends you carry nonetheless. You wake sometimes with your heart racing, your hands reaching for weapons that are not there. You wake covered in sweat, your muscles tense, ready for a fight that is not coming. The doctore told you this would happen. He called it the ghost fights, the battles that continue in the mind long after the real fighting has ended. Slowly, over months, the dreams become less frequent, the quiet becomes easier. You begin to remember how to be a person, not just a weapon. You speak to the other workers at the docks. You share meals with them. You learn their names, their stories, their worries and hopes. You remember what it means to have friends who are not bound to you by shared slavery and violence. After a year of working as a guard, you save enough money to rent a small house on the edge of town. It is not much, just 2 rooms and a courtyard, but it is yours. You plant a small garden in the courtyard, vegetables and herbs. You discover that you remember how to do this, how to coax life from soil and seed. The work is peaceful, meditative. You kneel in the dirt, your scarred hands gentle with the seedlings, and you feel something you have not felt in years. Hope. You are not the man you were. Marcus is gone and cannot be resurrected. But you are not Ferrum either. That name belongs to the arena, to the sand, to the crowd. You are something in between, something new, a survivor, a man who has seen the worst of what humans can do to each other and emerge still capable of planting seeds and hoping they will grow. One day, a woman from the town approaches you at the market. She is a widow, perhaps 30 years old, with 2 young children. Her husband died 2 years ago, leaving her with debts and a small shop that sells pottery. She has heard that you are a freed gladiator, that you are steady and reliable. She offers you work, helping in her shop, moving the heavy clay pots, dealing with customers. The pay is modest, but she offers something else: company, conversation, a place in the normal world. You accept. You begin spending your days in the pottery shop. The work is simple, peaceful. You carry heavy loads without complaint, your gladiator-built strength making the work easy. You watch her shape the clay on her wheel, her hands sure and practiced, creating beauty from formless earth. The children, a boy of 5 and a girl of 3, grow comfortable with you. They do not fear your scars. To them, you are simply the strong man who helps their mother, who sometimes lifts them onto his shoulders to see over the market stalls. Months pass. The woman, whose name is Julia, begins to look at you differently. Not with fear or fascination at what you were, but with something warmer. You find yourself looking forward to your time in the shop, to the sound of her voice, to the rare smile she offers when you say something that amuses her. One evening, she asks you to stay for dinner. You eat with her and the children in the small room above the shop. It is a simple meal, bread and cheese and olives, but it feels like a feast. You realize, sitting there, that this is what Tiberius meant. This is living. Not just surviving, not just enduring, but living, having a place. Having people who know your name, who care if you arrive in the morning, who would miss you if you were gone. You do not speak of the arena. Julia knows what you were, but she does not ask about it. She sees the scars, sees the nightmares that sometimes wake you when you fall asleep in the chair by her hearth, but she does not press. She understands that some stories are too heavy to carry alone, but also too painful to share. Years pass. You and Julia marry. You adopt her children as your own. The boy grows tall and strong. The girl is clever and quick with words. You teach them to read and write, skills you learned in the Ludus from a Greek slave who served as the Lanista's scribe. You do not teach them to fight. You want them to live in a world where survival does not require violence. You grow older. The scars fade from angry red to pale white. Your body, once a weapon, becomes simply a body. The muscles remain, but they are covered now with the softness that comes with peace and regular meals and not having to train for hours every day. Your hair greys at the temples. Your knee, injured in that long-ago fight, aches when it rains, reminding you of what you survived. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, you take out the Rudis and hold it. You remember the day the Lanista gave it to you, the weight of freedom in your hands. You remember the men who did not receive theirs, who fell in the sand, who were buried in unmarked graves outside cities they never chose to visit. You remember your promise to Tiberius, to live, to remember, to bear witness. And you have kept that promise. You are still here, still breathing, still planting seeds, and watching them grow. The arena is in your past, but it is not all of your past. You have built something new, something good. You have created a life worth living. The Rudis sits on a shelf in your house, a reminder of where you have been and what you have overcome. Your children sometimes ask about it, about the carved patterns, about why it is so important to you. You tell them it is a gift, a symbol of freedom, a reminder that no matter how dark the path, there is always the possibility of light at the end. The gladiatorial games lasted for over 600 years, from the 3rd century before the Common Era to the 5th century of the Common Era. They began as funeral rites, offerings of spirit to honor the dead, and evolved into the greatest spectacle the ancient world had ever known. At their height, the games were held throughout the Roman Empire, Every major city had an amphitheatre. Hundreds of thousands of men fought and fell in the arenas. Some were criminals and prisoners of war, but many were volunteers, free men who chose the life of the gladiator for the promise of glory and wealth. A successful gladiator could become famous, wealthy, even immortal in the eyes of the crowd. The Colosseum itself was completed in the year 80 of the Common Era, under the Emperor Titus. For over 400 years, it was the centerpiece of Rome's games. The emperors used it to maintain their power, to keep the populace entertained and distracted. Bread and circuses, the Romans called it. Feed the people and give them spectacle, and they will not revolt. The games were finally abolished in 404 CE by the Christian Emperor Honorius, who declared them incompatible with the new faith. The last recorded gladiatorial fight took place on January 1, 404. After that, the Colosseum was used for other purposes, then gradually abandoned. Earthquakes damaged it. Thieves stripped its marble and bronze. For centuries, it was a forgotten ruin. But it never entirely disappeared. In the Renaissance, scholars began to study it. In the modern era, archaeologists excavated it, uncovering the hypogeum, the underground chambers where gladiators waited, where the machinery of the games was operated. Today, you can visit the Colosseum. You can stand on the arena floor, or what remains of it. You can descend into the hypogeum and see the corridors where men like you once waited. You can imagine the roar of the crowd, the weight of the armor, the moment of rising up through the floor into the blinding light. The gladiators are gone, but their story remains. It is a story of cruelty and courage, of slavery and survival, of men who had everything taken from them and yet found a way to endure. It is a story of what humans will do to other humans, and what humans will endure when they have no other choice. The Rudis, the wooden sword of freedom, is more than just an artifact. It is a symbol. A reminder that even in the darkest places, even in the arena, freedom is possible. Not for everyone, not easily, but possible. And so our story of the Roman gladiator comes to a close. Thank you for walking this long road with me. My hope is that the story of this man's struggle and survival stays with you. I wish you a calm and peaceful night.